All right, it looks like some people have had a chance to join, so I will go ahead and get started. Well, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to our Jira Service Management Fundamentals webinar. We are so glad you're able to join us today for this 1-hour overview of Jira Service Management. I'm Brad Wood. I am a consultant and Atlassian Certified Professional with Valiantys. And today I'm going to be walking you through Jira Service Management to highlight many of its strengths and also many of its capabilities. At Valiantys, we are a Platinum Solutions partner of Atlassian, and we provide a number of different services based around Atlassian products, including solutions, consulting, licensing, and training, like this webinar, for example. We also work with a full stack software development company that creates custom solutions for Jira and Atlassian products through avenues such as app development and API integrations. And like I said, we offer consulting and licensing services across the entire suite of Atlassian products for organizations of all shapes and sizes, anywhere in the world, and for any platform, including cloud and data center. At Valiantys, we are the #1 Atlassian Platinum Solution Partner globally, with exclusive insight and understanding of Atlassian tools, undiluted focus and skill sets, and proven capability at every level. We've been a partner of Atlassian since 2006 and have been recognized as the Atlassian Partner of the Year 12 times. And at Valiantys, we have the culture and the mindset to make Atlassian products work for you. Due to our cutting-edge curiosity, our commitment to value, and our customer-centric approach, we are invested in your success and engaged with your strategic goals. So like I mentioned, this is going to be a 1-hour Jira Service Management webinar going over some of the fundamentals of the tool. In addition to our webinars, which we have many covering many different topics, we also have more extensive, more in-depth training classes on other Atlassian products. We do have a cloud migration workshop coming up on May 14th. We have our Jira Software and Confluence boot camps. And we do have a Jira Service Management boot camp as well. It's a 2-day class that takes a comprehensive look at everything you need to know to effectively use and administer Jira Service Management. That course is designed for both administrators and service desk managers. And our boot camps really focus on retention, and they're interactive workshops designed to leave users confident in their understanding and use of the tools and processes. Our Jira Service Management Bootcamp covers advanced topics as well, such as assets, Ops Genie, status page, ITSM features, the list goes on. And you can find more information on this and all of our upcoming boot camps and webinars, etc., by visiting valiantys.com/training. And our next Jira Service Management Bootcamp is coming up on May the 14th. So check that out on our website if you think maybe that'd be something you'd be interested in. All right, so let's get into the agenda for this morning. So what is Jira Service Management and who is it for? Well, it was originally created as a service management tool for IT departments, but over the years, it has really evolved and grown into a much more robust platform. It's not just for IT teams anymore. It can really be for any service team. And so think about your HR teams, your legal teams, your marketing department, maybe a creative department. Really anybody in your organization who is providing a service or receiving requests from customers can benefit from using Jira Service Management. In addition to a service management tool, JSM is a support system with knowledge bases, a ticketing system. It can be an asset manager. Really are a wide variety of powerful features that are found within Jira Service Management. And JSM also provides an intake channel and tracking for your service requests. It helps support and track your customers' success, keeps a record of those service requests, keeps customers up to date on their requests. Like I mentioned, JSM can be connected to internal and external knowledge bases, and we'll look at a little bit of that functionality later this morning. You can use Jira Service Management to track and maintain your SLAs, which we will cover how to configure those this morning as well. And it really provides a clean and highly customizable customer portal for our requests to be submitted through. This provides a centralized location for our customers to submit their service requests, as opposed to using, an inconsistent or large list of other communications to submit requests, email, chat, phone calls, etc. Using a ticketing system like Jira Service Management brings all of that into one centralized location. It also provides a location for your customers to view the status of their service requests and a communication channel between the customers and your service team or your agents. And it also helps ensure that our customers are providing the necessary information with their requests, which we will learn how to set those up later this morning. Jira Service Management can be for both internal and external customers. And lastly, you can leverage automation for Jira to help automate repetitive tasks, saving your agents time and increasing their efficiency, ultimately leading to quicker resolutions to your customers' requests. Jira Service Management is built on Jira software. So if you're already familiar with Jira, you are going to notice many similarities between the two tools. But if you're not familiar with Jira software, that is totally okay. You don't need experience with Jira to use Jira Service Management, and you don't need Jira software to use Jira Service Management either, because it works as a standalone product. So today we're going to review Jira Service Management through three different perspectives. The customer's perspective, our service team or agent's perspective, and then our administrators. These are the main perspectives or roles that Jira Service Management users will typically be utilizing, and we will cover how the tool supports each type of user. Our customers are going to be those folks who use the Help Center primarily to raise, track, and comment on requests. They can share requests from the Help Center, and they can also view knowledge base articles. Our service team will be viewing and managing those requests on the back end. They can create and manage those knowledge bases and the articles. They can use queues, view reports and SLA metrics, and also manage customers. And then our administrators will be able to perform all of those agent tasks, as well as configure portals, request types, queues, reports, SLAs, really administer the entire service project that our agents are working out of and our customers are submitting requests into. So we'll go in that order. We'll start as a customer. We will submit a ticket. As an agent, we will work that ticket, and then we'll look at some configurations that our administrators have done in our instance. And then lastly, before we get started, wanted to quickly mention that we also have an advanced Jira Service Management webinar. It is also a 1-hour webinar, and it covers advanced features in Jira Service Management like incident management, change management, and assets, just to name a few. Our next one is going to be a week from today at this same time, so April 25th at 11 a.m. Central. And that webinar really builds off of the fundamentals that we'll be covering today, and it takes an in-depth look at all of those advanced ITSM features of Jira Service Management. And if you're interested in that, you can scan this QR code or visit that website, valiantys.com/training, to sign up for that free webinar. And I'll just put this link in the chat in case anybody wants to visit that page. Again, that's just valiantys.com/training. All right. That's it for the slides. Let's jump into Jira Service Management, and wanted to quickly mention as well, if we have time at the end of this webinar, I will be available for some Q&A. So I believe there's a Q&A function at the bottom of this Zoom meeting. So feel free to add questions in there, either as I'm presenting or after the presentation, and I will answer those as time allows. So let's go over to Jira Service Management. And JSM has a variety of intake methods for your customers to submit tickets. You can use an email handler. You can use chat integration to Slack, for example. There's a widget you can install on maybe an internal website. But this morning, we're going to focus on the Help Center. And the Help Center is really the home for your customers in Jira Service Management. This is where they're going to be able to submit their requests, view the status of those requests, interact with agents, etc. And really, this is the area where your customers are going to spend the majority of their time within Jira Service Management. So this is the homepage of our Help Center that we have set up. Right off the bat, you can see this search bar, search for help resources, and this search bar will help the user find both request forms through which they can submit requests and knowledge base articles. So for example, if I type in VPN in my search bar, I see a variety of things served up. So I can see some self-help resources, which are these articles. And then I see a variety of request forms as well that are related to my search in some way. I did talk a little bit about knowledge base articles previously. The idea with these is ticket deflection. So you're going to want to use knowledge base articles to help guide your customers to information that might help them solve their issues themselves, resulting in less tickets submitted overall. So for example, if I view this VPN troubleshooting article, here's how it might look to your customers. There are a lot of different formatting options for these. You can obviously add images and call out some text with this red highlighting here, typical wiki style formatting in these articles. And we can see there's a quick guide here on how to troubleshoot my VPN connection. And as a customer, I could read this article, take these steps, and decide if this helped me or not. At the bottom here, we can see, did this article help? The results to this this poll here, so if I were to click yes or no, these results are actually saved and can be reported on the back end. So you can actually track the effectiveness of your knowledge base articles. And then lastly, I could click need to raise a request still, contact us. So let's say this article didn't help me fix my VPN issues. I could click this and it would take me to an area where I could submit a request type. And then just a quick mention to everything out here in the Help Center has a unique link that can be shared directly to your customers, could be bookmarked, could be saved, maybe on an internal intranet, something like that. So everything on this in this Help Center does have a unique link. So just keep that in mind as we're going through the Help Center this morning. I'm going to go back to our homepage here. This topics section is the next thing we see, and these are collections of related elements that can be useful to your customers in a variety of ways. These topics sections can include request forms, knowledge base articles, and even links to external resources that, again, are all related to the same topic in some way. They can be cross-project, unlike our portal groups, which we'll look at in just a second. Portal groups are tied to a single project in Jira. The topics sections can be cross-project, however. And then the Help Center is customizable via this customize section over here on the right-hand side, and that's how this all got configured, including this topics section. So let's move on to our portals. Each of our portals are connected to a specific project in Jira Service Management. And you can maybe think of these as like subsections of the Help Center that are based on your department, a function, or some other similar trait. And this help keeps your request types organized based on some kind of similar function or use or something like that. You can have multiple request types within a portal, and access to these portals is managed on the back end. Each portal can be restricted so that customers can only see the portals that they should have access to. So if you've got a VIP portal or maybe a restricted access portal that should only be accessible to certain people, that can be configured in your Help Center. And we can see here we've got a couple of different portals here. We've got IT, HR, facilities, and like I mentioned, we've got our HR department in here. So we're not using this just for our IT teams. We're using this organization-wide. So I'm going to click into the IT Service Desk portal. And let's take a look at what we have here. So again, I mentioned everything has a direct link, and we see a breadcrumb trail here up at the top. So you can bookmark those links, obviously. We see several different topics here. So we see computers, logins and access, applications, etc. These are portal groups, and they are collections of request types within our portals. And we can see underneath computers, there's several different request types, and I'll click in here in just a second, but these are all the different request forms that I could submit. And we see that with all of these portal groups as well. So again, just collections of different request types that are all related in some way to the IT service desk. So I will click into computers, and now we can see those request types themselves, and there are helpful descriptions here to let me know what these should be used for. So for example, request a new laptop is pretty self-explanatory. Most of these are pretty self-explanatory, but you can add this helpful text here to your request types, again, so your customers know what these request types should be used for and what they are intended to capture. If for some reason I've clicked into the wrong portal group, I can click into this Contact Us About dropdown, and we see all those different portal groups, so I could navigate to one of those very quickly from this computers portal group. I'm going to stay in here. And again, under the what can we help you with, there are all these different request types. And I will select request a new laptop. And here's the request type itself, or the request form itself. And so again, there's that link back to the different portal groups. And under what can we help you with, this functions in the same way. So maybe I clicked the wrong request form for some reason. I can navigate to the correct request form within this computer's portal group from this dropdown. Raise this request on behalf of is the first field we see here. I could submit this for somebody else, maybe my manager or maybe a direct report or somebody needs a new laptop, and I could submit that for Brian, for instance, or Dean or somebody else in this instance, but I'm just going to leave this as myself. Reason for requesting new laptop, we have a drop down here. I've got 3 different options. I'm going to say my current equipment is damaged. Let me see any additional details. This is a paragraph style field, so we have tons of different text formatting options here. We can change colors, we could add a bullet list, we can add hyperlinks, even use emojis in here. But for now, I'm just going to put some simple text here. I'm going to say, I dropped my laptop and it no longer works. And then lastly, we see which model would you like. And if I click in this field, you can see 3 results here. And you'll notice that these options look a little bit different than the other drop-down field that I just showed. And this field is actually linked to our assets database. I think I mentioned that assets is one of the advanced features in Jira Service Management. And we won't go into that in detail today, but we will do that next week in our ITSM webinar, which again, that is a week from today at the same time. So I'm just going to choose MacBook Pro 13-inch and click Send. And now I've submitted my request, and this is what a submitted request is going to look like for your customers. So we can talk through this just a little bit. We see that breadcrumb trail at the end, or at the top here. See the name of my request is just new laptop request. And then all that information that I entered in on this ticket. So the reason for requesting my new laptop, we can also see I raised this today at a specific time. Those details I provided and which model would I like. Directly under this, we see our activity section. So not much activity on this ticket so far. It has been submitted, and we can see that it requires approval. This is something we've configured on the back end that, again, we will go into next week in our advanced webinar. But for now, we'll just know that this ticket does need an approval. I can see that as the customer. And I could add a comment here if I'd like. I could say, is there an update on my request, for instance, and send that comment to the agents that might be working this ticket. On the right-hand side, we see some other information. We see the status that the ticket is in, which is waiting for approval. I can turn my notifications on or off for this ticket. So maybe I submitted this for somebody else and I don't really need to get updates on this. I could turn my notifications off, and now I won't get emails when there are updates on this request. Maybe for some reason I don't need this laptop anymore. Maybe it's started working all of a sudden. I could cancel my request. We see the request type again. That's the form that I submitted just a minute ago. I could share this with other users. So let's say maybe Brian needs to know about this. I can share this ticket with him. So just type his name in here, click add, and then now Brian has been added as a watcher to this ticket. So he will get notifications as well. And then we can see that one approval is needed on this ticket. So that is kind of a quick overview of how your customers will submit tickets through the Help Center and what they will look like to them. I'm going to go back to our home page really quickly and just show a quick example of a more complicated request form. And we won't go into how to configure this today, but I do want to show that there are a lot of different formatting options within Jira Service Management for your request types. So you can get complicated and creative with your layouts. You have a lot of different field types. We can see this is a date picker field here, so it makes it really easy for your customers to provide accurate information. And then you can do some conditional formatting as well. So in this request type, we see this question, business cards needed, and I have the options yes or no. If I choose yes, I'm then prompted with a whole nother section of fields for me to fill out. And this would be the information that needs to be on those business cards. So again, the idea here is making it easy for your customers to provide the information that your agents need to actually work on these tickets. And I will call out too, this is using what we refer to as a dynamic form in Jira Service Management. And all of that configuration is covered in detail in that Jira Service Management Bootcamp that I mentioned earlier. So lastly, out here in the Help Center, we are going to go to the Requests section. And when I click this, I have a couple of different options here. I'll just click all for the sake of this demo. And this provides a view for your customers to quickly view some information on several tickets all at once. So we can see a lot of different information here. We can see the request type, the reference number, the summary of these requests, the status, the service project that they're related to, who requested them, and when they were created. So we can see here, for example, that laptop request is in the waiting for approval status because it does need an approval, whereas this request website is down, is just in an open status currently. So again, a quick way for your customers to view information on several tickets all at once. And I think we've covered everything on the Help Center side of things. So again, that's how your customers are going to submit tickets, view those knowledge base articles, hopefully aid some ticket deflection for your agents, and then view the status on their requests. And of course, like I showed on the laptop request, how they'll be able to interact with agents by adding comments on those requests. So now let's look at this request from an agent's point of view, and we'll notice some similarities, some differences. There's going to be a lot more information available on the ticket for our agents. Things might be displayed a little bit differently, but ultimately it is all the same ticket and it's all related. So here I am on the back end or the agent view of Jira Service Management, and we'll just go through everything that we're looking at on this ticket. So the first thing we see, new laptop request, that's what's called the summary field in Jira, and that's just sort of the name or the title of the ticket. We can see how some of those form fields translated to this issue view in this details section. And we can also see in this section that I raised this request via the portal. And note that your agents can submit tickets from the back end using this blue create button. So they don't actually have to navigate to the portal like our customers do. I could just create a ticket directly from Jira if I need to for some reason. And we see the reason that I need this laptop is my current equipment is damaged. Here's that description I added, and here's that laptop model that I selected. And this section is collapsible if it's in the way of your agents while they're working this ticket. Directly under the summary, we see a button to create a subtask. So maybe there's some additional work that needs to be done by a second person to fulfill this request. We could use subtasks to do that. We could link this to another issue. Maybe it's not a laptop request. Maybe it's something that caused a problem or is caused by a problem. We could link issues here. We can add an additional form if we need to gather additional information from our customers. And then we've got a time tracking third-party app called Tempo installed in this instance, and we can use this button to use Tempo to plan and track time. Over on the right-hand side, we see waiting for approval. This is our status drop-down field, and if I click in here, we can see some available transitions that I have available to myself as an agent. I could cancel this request if we're not needed, or if I am deeming this as approved, I could use this transition to the waiting for support status. And I can view the workflow by just simply clicking View Workflow. And this is these are all the statuses and all of the available transitions available on this ticket in this project. So if you're familiar with Jira, this works identically to Jira software. We have 3 different status categories. So our to-do statuses, which are in gray, our in progress, which are in blue, and then our done statuses, which are in green. So that is all customizable and can be changed as needs arise in your service management projects. We also have this actions drop down. This would include any manually triggered automations that we have configured in our project. So we can see a couple of them here. I'm not going to fire any of these right now, but you can have those available here for your agents. And then we can also see that this is waiting for one approval. So it's in the waiting for approval status. It's waiting on that approval. If I click here on waiting for approval, we can see that Vicky has been assigned to approve this ticket. This is powered by our assets management database on the back end. The short story is Vicky is my manager and she needs to approve my laptop request. And so automation and assets are working hand in hand here to set her as the approver, on this ticket. And then once she approves this ticket, there's another automation that would be set up to transition this ticket to its next status, or if she did not approve the request, it would transition it to a different status. Our next section here is SLAs. And SLAs are service level agreements. And I like to think of those as how quickly are we agreeing to do something on this ticket. And so in this instance, we have 2 different SLAs configured. We've got time to first response and we've got time to resolution. And you can see they have different time goals. And that is displayed, time to first response within 4 hours. And it's letting me know that I need to respond to this by 3:20 p.m. today. And then our time to resolution is tomorrow at 11:20. We're going to look at a little bit on how to configure these SLAs in just a few minutes here. But these are prominently displayed for your agents to view those as they are working these tickets. We'll move down to the details section, and this section is customizable, so you can have as many or as few fields in this details section as are helpful to your agents. This knowledge base field shows suggested knowledge base articles that might help me as an agent work this ticket. So we can see a couple of articles here, and this can be really helpful. Like we mentioned before, our knowledge base is important for ticket deflection, but we can also use it to house information for our agents. So maybe there's a specific request that comes up all the time, and we can create an article that quickly helps us solve that request for our customers. And this is all powered behind the scenes by Confluence. So if you are familiar with Confluence, you'll notice some similarities here. And I can search the knowledge base here. I can also share this article. So maybe I want to share this as a comment to our customer. Maybe there is a self-help article that they overlooked on the portal, for instance. I can share this as a link, as a comment, and send that to our customer, and then they can view that article out on the portal. So another great way to use our knowledge base there. The next field we see is the assignee field. This ticket is currently unassigned. If I click here, I can add anybody who's an agent in this project. So for instance, I could assign this to Vicky since she needs to approve this, or I could quickly click assign to me if it's something that I need to work on. The reporter is the person who submitted this request. So again, that was me. So that's why I'm listed here. Our request type is listed here. So that's, again, request a new laptop. We saw that out on the portal. And if I click in here as an agent, I could change this to a different request type. Let's say maybe I submitted the new laptop request or request a new laptop, but I'm actually asking for a new iPhone. I could, as an agent, change this to new mobile device and make sure that all that information is correct on the ticket for reporting purposes or tracking or assignments, or who knows what that could affect. So that's a handy thing your agents can do if you're receiving tickets with errors on them for some reason. And then we can see here at the bottom, 2 user picker fields. Brian is added as a request participant. We did that out on the portal when I shared this ticket with him. And then Vicky was assigned as the approver for this ticket, like I mentioned. And then lastly, we see another field here, affected equipment. And this is the laptop that's currently assigned to me. So automation and assets did some cool stuff with this as well on this ticket. And we go into detail in that again in our advanced ITSM webinar, which again will be next week at this same time. Then lastly, a couple other things. We see more fields. These are the fields that are available to us on this ticket, but have not been configured to display in our details section. So we could move any of these up to that section if they do need to be there. And we see some information on automations here. If I refresh this, we'll probably see some rule runs, so we can see a list of all the automations that have run since this ticket was created. And then I mentioned tempo earlier. We see that down here at the bottom as well. And we won't go into automation configuration in this webinar, but we do go over it in our Jira Bootcamp and our JSM Bootcamp. I'm going to head back to the middle here, and we're going to look at the similar requests section. This section is going to provide a list of issues that Jira has deemed as similar in terms of either their summary or their description. And this can be really useful for our agents to review past tickets to provide insight on a solution to a problem. They also highlight the frequency in which similar requests are being submitted in order to create that greater sense of urgency or show the need to look into a larger issue. And we can link these directly to our current ticket by clicking this link icon. And you can also submit feedback to Atlassian right here. Are these results relevant, yes or no, if you are liking this feature or not. We're going to move down to our activity section now. And this is similar to what we saw out on the portal. in our customer view with several more options and categories. And the first thing we'll do is we'll click Show All. And this section is really a comprehensive look at everything that has happened since this ticket was created. So we can see a couple of minutes ago, I changed the assignee from Vicky to myself. I changed it from no one to Vicky, and so on. We can see all the way back to when I created this issue 16 minutes ago. And so if I highlight over 16 minutes ago, we can see some more detailed information. So that can be really helpful when you're troubleshooting something on a ticket, or you need to know who made a change or what changed at what time. Just click that All button here. In our comments section, we see two options here. We see Add Internal Note and Reply to Customer. So internal notes are only visible to our service agents. So I'll just say internal note for the sake of an example here. We can see our internal notes are highlighted in this like yellow or peach color to really draw attention to this is an internal note. This is not something customer facing. So if I went back to the portal, I would not see this comment as a customer. If I click Reply to Customer, these other two comments are customer facing. So our customer, which in this case is me, would be able to see those comments. And this is exactly like what we saw before. It's that wiki style paragraph field. So there are tons of different options here, and we can use these to help communicate with our customers and try and solve their request. We also see here canned responses. And the idea here is to utilize these for responses that are either high frequency, or maybe they need to include some specific language. Maybe there's some kind of policy that needs to be communicated, or a hyperlink, something like that. We can use canned responses and have those at our disposal very quickly as agents. And as agents, we can create two different kinds of canned responses. We can make a personal canned response that is only available to the individual, or we can make a shared response, and any agent in this project would be able to use those. And you can also use Jira Smart Values in here as well. So I could, use Issue Reporter, for instance, and that will pull the reporter's name into this canned response. So there's a lot of power and some efficiency gains you can get by using canned responses. And then our history section is sort of a truncated version of that all section. So that's available. Work logs would display any time tracking information if your team is using that functionality. Time and status is another cool one. So we can see how long our tickets have been in specific statuses. So we see right now this one has been in waiting for approval for about 20 minutes. And then lastly, approvals. This will display all information related to approvals on this ticket. So all we have right now is that one person from approvers must approve. And again, that person is Vicky, and she will approve or decline this when she has time. And so that's going to cover it for our agent portion of this webinar. We're going to move on to some administrator functions and configurations here right now. And again, if you do have any comments or questions, feel free to drop those in the Q&A, and I will take a look at those at the end of this webinar. So the first thing we're going to talk about from the agent's point of view is the administrator's point of view is queues. And queues are how our tickets are sorted and displayed for agents in our service project. And they're a great way for agents to quickly see a list of all open requests that meet a specific criteria. And in the past, Jira Service Management did not have boards like Jira software. So again, if you're familiar with Jira, you may be familiar with using a Kanban board, for instance. And so queues were really the way that JSM was displaying issues in a visual sense. However, boards are being rolled out into Jira Service Management currently. So you may notice those in your instance. And boards and queues work the same way as a filter in Jira software. So again, if you're familiar with those, our queues are the function and pull issues in a similar way. And you do need to be a project administrator to create and manage queues. So I'll click into the queues section of this project, and we can see we've got several queues configured here. For example, all open tickets would give me a comprehensive look at every queue that is not in a done status in this project. So we can see we've got several here, and I can see a lot of different information on these tickets. We can see the request type, the summary, who's assigned to it, what status is it in, when was it created, even some information on our SLAs here. So the queues can be really powerful and provide a lot of different information to your agents. This queue, all my tickets, and also the one right above it, assigned to me, are unique for every agent in this project. So all my tickets, for instance, we can see that I've submitted one request. It's the one I submitted earlier. And if anything was assigned to me, we would see that. And we do see that right here. We see this ticket is assigned to me in the assigned to me queue. There are some bulk actions you can do on tickets within a queue. So if I go back to open all open tickets, for instance, I can click this box and select every ticket in this queue. And then we see some options for some bulk actions I could take, finding similar requests, linking issues. I could comment on all of these at the same time, assign them all to the same person, or even delete all of them at the same time. And so how do you customize a queue? Let's click into one of these, for example, team 1, and we'll come up to the 3 dots and we'll say edit queue. Like I mentioned, queues work very similarly to filters in Jira or Jira Service Management. And we can see here, this is the JQL that is configured for this filter. So it's saying, show me all tickets where the resolution is unresolved and the support team field has a value of team 1. I could add some more information to this JQL if I need to modify it in any way. And then I can also customize the columns that are shown in the queue. So there are several options. If I click here, I can look through all the different fields that I could add to my queue and add those to that visibility. And if I don't want to use JQL, I can switch to basic search, and Jira Service Management will help me write my filter for my queue, essentially. I'm going to go, I'm going to cancel out of this. And this list of queues is also customizable. So we can click the 3 dots and click, actually, excuse me, it's over here in the Manage Queues section. So this is how we can move our queues to different sections or reorder them. It's very intuitive. It's just a drag and drop functionality here, and we can move things from this other section to the team priority section, for instance, or back to the other section. And so that's how your project admins can customize the list of queues. And one other thing, your agents have the ability to move queues into this starred section. So if I hover over any of these queues, I can click this star and move it into my starred section. This is user specific. This will not affect other users. So if I move something in or out of my starred section, that will not affect the experience for anybody else in this project. So that's a bit on queues. We're going to move on now to SLAs. So I'll go to project settings and then SLAs. And like I mentioned before, SLA stands for service level of agreement, which is the level of service that the team has committed to providing to our customers. They can be thought of as goals that have a specific time frame in which they should be achieved. and you do need to be a project administrator to create and manage SLAs. So we can see in this project, we have 4 different SLAs created. They have specific criteria that does need to be configured on each of them. So let's take a look at one of these, for example, time to first response, and look at some of these parameters. So within our SLA, we have goals, we have conditions, and we can change the format display, which we saw an example of that earlier. So our goals section, we can see issues will be checked against this list top to bottom and assigned a time goal based on the first matching JQL statement. And then we see these columns. We see apply to issues, calendar, and time target. So for our time to first response SLA, for anything that is in the ticket category of incidents, that is any priority, which this is actually a new feature that Atlassian rolled out recently to be able to break out your SLAs by priority. So any priority incident against this calendar has a time target of 2 hours for first response. Then we can see service requests has a time target of 4 hours. So obviously incidents are a little bit more important than service requests. So we are targeting to hit that first response sooner on our incidents goal here. Our conditions control when time will start counting, pause counting, or end counting against this SLA for this specific ticket. So we can see here, we're going to start counting time when the issue is created. We don't have anything in the pause counting time, but you could pause your SLA when the ticket's in a specific status, for instance. So maybe you're waiting on a response from your customer and you don't want to count against your SLA at that time. You could configure that here. And then lastly, finish counting time when we can see when a comment is made for our customer, when we enter the waiting for customer status, or when the ticket is closed, the resolution is set, etc. And then we have those format display options here at the bottom. So I talked about the calendar briefly. I want to show some of those settings. So if we go up here to the calendar icon, we can see that this service project has one calendar configured. If I click this arrow, we can see what the parameters are in this. So we're looking at Central Time in the US, and it only counts against these days and times. So it is a 9 to 5 calendar, normal business hours. So we won't be counting against our SLAs when we are after 5 p.m. or before 9 a.m. So we don't have any agents working at that time. We don't want to count against their SLAs during that time. That's why this calendar is configured that way. And you can add several calendars to your service project if you need to. Maybe you've got a service team that works 24 hours a day on shifts. Then you could change this to be 24 hours a day, Monday through Friday. Maybe they work weekends as well, and you can change that time zone here. We can see here there are some other calendars configured, but they all appear to be the same, but that's where you can pull some of these other calendars in if you need to. And also, if I go to edit this calendar, you can even add holidays. And like I mentioned, you can exclude certain days of the week, and you can modify your times here. So it doesn't have to be 9 to 5. Maybe your team works 8 to 6 or 8 to 4, something like that. You can configure all of that here, and you can import an ICS file for holidays or anything like that here. So that's just a little bit on SLAs and calendars. The last section we are going to cover briefly is request types, since that's sort of where this whole presentation started. Remember that customer portal is composed of request types, and those request types then create issues in our JSM project. Each request type creates a specific issue in Jira Service Management. One thing to note is that an issue type can be associated with more than one request type, but each request type can only be associated with one issue type. And This can help create efficiencies on our back end if you have several request types that can use the same configurations, such as workflows or your screens or your field configurations. And again, that is covered in depth in our JSM Bootcamp. But here we can see all the request types in this project. So the one I submitted earlier, request a new laptop, we can see that it is associated with the service request with approvals issue type, and that it is associated to the computers portal group. So this list of our request types is where we can view that information, and we can also configure which portal group that our request types are associated with in this section. So let's look at the request a new laptop request type and see how some of this is configured. So we can see the name and the icon here at the top. Request type description, this is where we're getting that help text that we saw out on the portal. So that's been entered here, and if we need to change it, we could change it here. And then this is also where you're going to choose all of the fields that display on your request type. Again, making sure that our customers are providing the right information and comprehensive information for our agents to work on those requests as quickly as possible. These can use both Jira system fields and custom fields. So for instance, as laptop models is a custom field, reason would also be a custom field. And we've added those to this request type. And we can see that some of these, I'll just click into reason, for instance. We can see that there's a display name here. So on the back end, this field is called reason, but out on the portal, our customers see it as reason for requesting new laptop. We could add some descriptive text here as well. And then we can also choose whether or not this field is required. So you can just check this box here, and if there are required fields on a request form and your customer has not entered any information into that required field, they will not be able to submit that request until they populated it with some value. So if I want to add a field to this request type, I'll close this. Maybe I want to add just maybe this attachment field, for instance. I can simply just drag and drop this, and I can add it into any position on this ticket, or this request form, I should say, drop it there, and then I would save my changes. I am not going to save those changes right now, but you can see that this is a really intuitive and quick process to update these request forms, and they can be updated at any time. So they're live out on the portal. You can make some changes, save those changes. Your customers will see them the next time they go in to submit a request. The other thing you can do in this section is if I click Issue View, I'm going to just say, okay, that's fine. I can move some fields around. So we talked about the details section on our ticket, and here's all those fields we were looking at earlier. And then anything else that is configured for this issue, I can, but I don't need in that details section, I can add to the hidden when empty field section, and that would be that more section that we saw on the ticket earlier. And then one other cool thing you can do with your request types is you can change the status name that customers see for your workflow statuses. So maybe you have a very complex workflow on the back end, and maybe several of these statuses aren't that relevant to your customers. Maybe you want to change the display name. So maybe they don't need to know that this ticket is pending. Maybe they just need to know that it's in progress. I could change that right here, click save, and then when the ticket is transitioned into a pending status, they would see it displayed as in progress. So cut down on some of the noise or maybe some irrelevant details for your customers by doing that with your workflow statuses. And then I know we're coming up on the top of the hour. I do want to show what I referred to as dynamic forms earlier. And let's see if we can find that HR form really quickly. we'll just grab this form. So in addition to configuring fields on your request types, you can also add forms to them. And these forms are really, really dynamic and can be really well customized to capture information that perhaps system fields or custom fields won't capture, or maybe you don't want to configure custom fields for these specific use cases. You can create these dynamic forms. There are tons of different field options you can configure here. You can have checkboxes, radio buttons, drop downs, date and time, user fields, even assets. So there are a variety of configurations you can do here, and you can also do some conditional formatting, which we saw on that HR form. So I could add a section and I could tell it to show conditionally based on some kind of criteria. And then that's how we saw when I selected yes on the business cards needed, it showed that information, those additional fields for me to fill out. And that's probably all the time we're going to have on forms. But again, that is covered in depth in that Jira Service Management Bootcamp. And again, all those details are at valiantys.com/training. And we are getting close to the top of the hour. I'm going to check the Q&A quickly and just see if there's anything we have time to answer. And I think we do. So the first question I see, does JSM come with prepackaged self-help articles? Or is this an item that has to be customized by admin? To my knowledge, there are no prepackaged self-help articles. Those are things you're going to need to write and customize manually. But like I mentioned before, it really is worth the time to do that because the tool can really leverage those articles for a variety of purposes, including ticket deflection, obviously self-help for your customers, and then also help for your agents as well. And so really powerful feature, and really recommend utilizing that as you build your JSM instance and your service desks and your portal and your help center, all that stuff. The knowledge base is really, really important to that overall process. I see another question, will the recording be provided for this? I believe we send that out through email, but these webinars are all posted on our Valiantys YouTube page as well. So head out to YouTube and give us a follow and thumbs up on these videos, all that fun stuff. These are all posted to YouTube, so you can view this webinar or previous webinars on other topics. Those will all be posted on our YouTube page, and that is a great resource for other training videos and other topics on Atlassian products. There is a wealth of knowledge available out there on YouTube. Right. So again, that's going to conclude this fundamentals webinar for Jira Service Management. There is so much more that this tool has to offer that we just don't have time to cover in 1 hour. Our advanced ITSM features, incident management, change management, asset management, and so much more. And a reminder that we will cover many of those topics in our companion webinar that covers ITSM features and advanced features in JSM, and that will be held again 1 week from today at the same time, so April 25th at 11 a.m. Central. And then lastly, just a quick plug for some of the other webinars and classes that we offer. Again, we have those boot camps for Jira, for Confluence, for Jira Service Management, a variety of Atlassian products. These provide a comprehensive look at those products and how to use and administer them effectively. And for that complete schedule of all of our upcoming classes, webinars, boot camps, etc., visit valiantys.com/training, or you can scan this QR code here and it will take you directly to that page. And so just want to wrap things up and say thank you for attending our JSM Fundamentals webinar today. I hope you enjoyed this course, and I hope that you learned something new about Jira Service Management and how it could be a useful tool for your team or organization. If you have any additional questions regarding Jira Service Management or anything else Atlassian related, please feel free to contact me via email or via LinkedIn, both of which are on this slide. And I will drop those in the chat. And let's just do that quickly. Those are both there. So like I said, any questions on JSM, on anything else Atlassian related, please feel free to reach out to me. And with that, that is going to conclude this webinar. So again, really glad everybody was able to attend this morning. Hope you found this useful, and I hope you will be able to join us next week for our advanced ITSM features webinar for Jira Service Management. So thanks again, everybody, and have a great day.